I'll tell you what, the song line that said to heal our streets and land, we definitely need that in our world today. And we believe that the church is the hope of the world. And as God works through the church, He's working through people like you and me. We're to be His hands and His feet and His mouthpiece, and we're the ones that are to make a difference. And so we have a great responsibility, and I hope that you will take that responsibility seriously as we think about our part in this land that we love, and as we think about our part in the world. We have a responsibility, and we want to do our best to honor God and to be the church and to be the Christian people that He's calling us to be. We're in the middle of a series called Growing Stronger, and we've been talking about things like growing stronger in faith and growing stronger in belief, growing stronger in community. We're going to be talking about growing stronger in love and character over the next couple of weeks, and today our focus is on compassion. If you've missed any part of the series, I'd invite you to go to thepoint.com, and you can listen or watch there and kind of catch up. But today our focus shifts, and we're going to talk about growing stronger in compassion. I don't know how it is for you, but I can tell you for me, sometimes the plight of the world seems absolutely overwhelming. It seems overwhelming, from natural disasters to poverty to hunger, the need for clean drinking water, and so much more. Sometimes it just seems like the list of needs has no end. And it's tempting to look away and try to forget about some of the atrocities that are taking place in the world today. It's easy to kind of walk away and say, well, you know what, that's not my problem. That's a big problem. There's nothing I can do. I can't do anything about that. That'd be easier. It wouldn't be so uncomfortable. Definitely be more convenient. But the question is, would that be right? And is that what God is calling us to do? Is it acceptable to just disconnect and focus on our own little corner of the world? Is that really what God's calling us to do? Or as followers of Jesus Christ, have we been called to something more? To something bigger and something greater, something better? Over in Matthew chapter 10, Jesus had something very specific to say about this. I'm reading from the paraphrase called The Message in Matthew chapter 10, verse 41. He tells us right up front, this is a large work I've called you into. You know, we shouldn't be surprised. It's a large work, but don't be overwhelmed by it. It's good counsel. He says it's best to start small. Give a cup of cool water to someone who's thirsty, for instance. The smallest act of giving or receiving makes you a true apprentice. You won't lose out on a thing. Our mission as a church is to point people to Jesus. Our goal is to make and mature disciples of Jesus Christ by any means possible. And see, our mission is to include preaching and teaching and praying and giving and going. It's not just one thing, it's many things. It's a big responsibility. And it's especially huge in light of how we've been blessed. Sometimes it's easy for us to forget how much we have been blessed, considering the rest of the world's population. But we, as Americans, we are incredibly blessed. And according to Scripture, with huge blessings come huge, tremendous responsibilities. Jesus said it like this in Luke chapter 12. He said, great gifts mean great responsibilities. Greater gifts, greater responsibilities. The NIV says, from everyone who's been given much, much more will be demanded. And from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. I mean, we get that. We understand. We're among those with the greater gifts and the greater responsibilities. There's no question. We are blessed. I want to illustrate that so that you'll understand what I'm talking about in a very visual way. In the past, some of you have heard me mention the Global Rich List. It's a resource online that helps provide a visual perspective so that you can just see how blessed you really are compared to the rest of the world. And it's an interesting resource, I think. The website basically ranks all of the 7.1 billion people of the world according to their income. And so you can go to Global Rich List and you can type in which country you're in as far as what currency you use, the US dollar, and then you can type in an amount and you can see where you fit in perspective to the rest of the world. For instance, for this illustration that I've posted here today, I punched in $20,000 a year. And as you can see, if you made $20,000 as a household this past year, you are in the top 3.65% of the richest people on the face of this planet. Now, I want you to let that sink in, because I know some of you are thinking, you don't get it, you don't understand my situation. I want you to just kind of hear me out and see this for what it is. What this means is you could make less than $10 an hour for 52 40-hour weeks, which is considered poverty level income for a family of 3 in the U.S., and you would still be, think about this, you would still be in the top 3.65% of wage earners in the world. You don't feel rich, do you? Very few people would say, oh yeah, man, I've got more than I know what to do with. I'm rich, I'm blessed. We get it, we're blessed, but do we get it in perspective of the world? I mean, it really is huge when you stop and think about it. And I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I just want you to see how blessed you really are. I want to illustrate it one other way. This funnel represents the worldwide population. And when you look at this, the diagram is marked off in 5 increments. The wide bowl at the top, right down to the narrowing stem, and basically every segment represents 20% of the world's population. There are 5 segments from the bottom to the top, and each segment represents 20% of the world's population. The top segment, as you can see, I believe that virtually every one of us, and perhaps all of us, are in that top segment, and we are probably in the top part of that top segment. It's safe to say that that's where most Americans quite easily reside in this particular diagram. Most Americans enjoy a disproportionate amount of the world's wealth. As a matter of fact, the top 20% of the world's population enjoy a whopping 82%, 82.7 to be exact, percent of the world's population, or of the world's wealth. Think about that. 20% of the people enjoy 82.7% of the world's wealth. That next 20% enjoy 11.7% of the world's wealth. And then the next 2 segments going down, each 2.3 and 1.9%. And at the bottom, 20% of the world's population live on less than 1%, or right at 1%, 1.4 I guess it is, of the world's wealth. It's hard to comprehend, but if you just want to bottom line on all of that, 80% of the world's population lives with very little, while 20% live with abundance. And you and I are in that 20%. Again, not to beat anybody up, not to make you feel bad, just to say that's the reality. Let's look at that and see it for what it is. It would be safe to say that many Americans waste or discard more than many people in the world even have. See, the wealth gap is huge. It's incredible. I doubt that it's even possible for those of us in that top 20% to imagine what it's like for somebody to live down in that lower, that bottom 20%. Even the poorest among us have an abundance compared to the world's population as a whole. See, the poverty of the world is seen in the lack of clean water. We don't know what that's like. Poor sanitation, a lack of food, and then the inability to provide the essentials that are necessary for a healthy and prosperous life. In many parts of the world today, people are living without hope. There's no hope in their situation from an economic standpoint. And, every once in a while you'll hear somebody use the term, well, why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? They don't have any bootstraps to pull themselves up by, literally or figuratively. It's a desperate situation. Sometimes the needs are so heartbreaking and overwhelming that it's difficult to even know what to do. And sometimes I think the temptation's to look away and try to forget about it and pretend these needs don't exist. I think we feel like the need is so great and there's so little we can really do that it isn't going to make that much difference. But deep down in our hearts, there's something that tells us different. I think deep down in our hearts, we know better. See, if we're not careful, there's this tendency for us to spend more time thinking about how we could improve our personal lifestyle rather than consider how we can improve the circumstances of those who are less fortunate. That reality in our American culture is never more obvious than it is at Christmas. And it is no secret. We all know this is true. We live in a very materialistic culture. We all know that. And I'm not against having things. I'm really not. I know it'll sound like I am, but I'm not. I believe God blesses us, and He, gives us things that we should enjoy. The blessings of God should be enjoyed. There's nothing wrong with having those things. We just need to be careful those things don't have us. And one of the best ways to maintain a proper perspective on things is to keep in mind the needs of others by expressing compassion toward them in tangible ways. That word compassion, it is defined as a deep sympathy, a feeling of deep sympathy and sorrow for another who is stricken by misfortune. Accompanying that is a strong desire to help alleviate suffering. I want you to consider carefully our personal responsibility when it comes to compassionately meeting the needs of others in proportion to how we all have been blessed. A few years ago, we did an emphasis over the Christmas season called the Advent Conspiracy. How many of you remember the Advent Conspiracy? A few of you? That emphasis is one that I remember well, and in that series, we challenged people to spend less, to give more, and to love all at Christmas, and also to worship fully. That series made a huge difference in the way that I think about gift giving, the way we think about it at our house. See, so often our gift giving is more about meeting a quota than it is about giving something that's meaningful. It's like we've got a quota to meet, we've got a dollar value that we need to spend, and so many gift exchanges, we get into that requirement of offering a gift in exchange for a gift and certain price range, and it loses its meaning and significance. That's certainly not always the case, but it is a hazard. And we ran onto that a few years ago. Lori's one of 6 children, and we were together with the 5 siblings and all the spouses and all the kids, the grandkids, and with her parents. And we'd set it up that there was going to be a Christmas card, gift exchange. Instead of buying presents, everybody was going to take the easy way out, and you just buy a $25 gift card. So I'd buy a $25 gift card to Menards, and I would take it and give it to them in Colorado, knowing there was no Colorado Menards. They'd say, well, I don't even have a Menards. Well, I'll take that card back then. But then they'd want me to give them my card that I'd received for the Outback Steakhouse. So it was just a bad deal. But we were changing cards back and forth. And it just really kind of felt weird to me. Now, I'm not downing that. I'm just saying for us, it just felt like that was meeting the quota and enhancing an already abundant lifestyle. It wasn't necessary. And so we began thinking about giving in a different way. And I want to encourage you to join me in thinking about how we as a church, how you individually and we together could approach the holidays a little bit differently this year. How can we give in a way that truly matters? How can we make a difference in the lives of people, many of whom have so little in comparison to what we enjoy? They have so much less than us. How could we express compassion and love and mercy and grace to them? Today we're going to introduce a new emphasis that's going to take place between Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve to be exact. It's called There's More to Christmas. And it's going to be a global emphasis on outreach giving here at the Point. And our goal is, as you can see down there at the bottom of the graphic, our goal is to extend more hope, more joy, and more meaning this Christmas season. It's all about compassion. This past year, the Lord has led our church family in the direction of helping provide one of the most basic needs of life, the need for clean water. We all hear about it around about in different ways and on television perhaps, and maybe you've read and are aware of some of the things that are going on, but too many people in our world are living without clean, safe drinking water. And together, we're trying to help change that. We made a significant investment, this past year in offering a cup of cold water. We gave through Next Gen. We gave over $1,200, $1,266 through Step Into My Shoes. And we gave to Team World Vision. Many of you are runners, and if we could bring that up, Team World Vision raised $17,300. We talked about that last week. Wonderful, wonderful thing, providing, wells in Africa. Oktoberfest, our Clean Water Project. We ran a booth down at Oktoberfest for the first time in years, and through that booth, selling ice and selling water generated $2,885 of profit that has already been sent to help build wells in Africa. See, these have been some meaningful projects. Here around the church, we've made a lot of investment in our facilities and staffing and programming and so many things. But now in the spirit of Matthew 10, we're partnering together to offer a cup of cold water and a whole lot more to others in Jesus' name. And all of these projects that we've been a part of, they've been very meaningful. But as we approach the holidays, we believe there's even more we can do. We talked about it together with our leadership team this past Tuesday night. We believe we can do more to bring joy and hope and meaning to the holidays as we intentionally think about the blessings that we've received and how we can use those blessings to bless others. So many people in our world, as I said, are living just for one thing without access to clean water. It means that twice the population of the United States doesn't have access to water that you and I take for granted every day. Every 15 seconds, a child dies due to a water-related cause. Just this past week, I received some pictures from our field strategy coordinator in the Church of the Nazarene in West Africa. His name is Tim Eby, and Tim and I have been talking about ways that the Point could help make a difference in places where these pictures that I want to show you were taken. These people are living in the lower part of West Africa, and these people are living in the lower part of that graph that I showed you earlier. And they gather water, spend hours a day gathering this water and going and gathering it in puddles and streams and wherever they can find it. And it's water that you or I would never think of drinking. And in certain cases now they're finding that they can install wells, and they're making it a lot easier, a lot less time, and providing safe water. But as you can see in this next photo, a lot of the water that they drink, that they gather, is not water that you or I would ever drink. Tim tells me that women and children spend 3 to 5 hours a day going to find water for themselves and their families. And it's a tough situation. Instead of going to school or spending time on other productive activities, they spend all this time trying to find and bring home water that looks like this. That's what people are facing that live in the lower portion of that graph that we talked about a little bit ago and that diagram. And I'm telling you, I don't know that we can even get a handle on it, that we can even imagine or understand it. It's difficult to grasp the challenges that these people face every day. But I'm thankful that we have a network of churches and trusted leaders that are in place to assist with needs like this and a whole lot more all around the world each and every day. See, this is not just about water. It's about outreach. It's about missions. It's about the Great Commission. It's about compassion. It's about so much. The Point is connected to a network. Think about this, folks. The church is connected to a network of congregations and missionaries, over 700 missionaries in 159 countries of the world. For more than a year, we've been communicating with Pastor Tim there in West Africa, and we've been talking about the possibilities. And Tim was telling me that by drilling and strengthening the water supply systems in those areas, the church is able to have a significant impact on the lives of people living in those areas, not just by providing water, but in many ways. See, the water that we sold and the ice that we sold at the Oktoberfest, that has already allowed us to make a significant investment in the village of Komigwe, which is located in the northern part of Benin in West Africa. And they're building wells similar to the one that you see in this picture. In the village there's a recurring water shortage because the water that they consume is only rainwater. It's runoff water like you saw in the pictures a moment ago. And so these, wells like this are strategically built near churches and near ministry centers, which allow ministry to take place. And so we're raising funding not just for wells and clean water. It's just part of the strategy to love people and to reach our world for Christ, because when they get clean water where there's a well where people can come, people are drawn to those ministry centers, they're drawn to those churches. So in addition to just saving lives physically, they are saving lives spiritually as well. And the goal isn't to just dig wells for fresh water, but also to provide training and education to help local villages improve the local conditions and enhance the health conditions for the inhabitants there by providing and teaching good sanitary practices and helping reduce sicknesses caused by waterborne contaminants. See, projects like this also improve local farming. They provide help with the crops by incorporating simple water distribution systems that give the local farmers the ability to grow crops throughout the year. And Komiguwe is just one place that we've started to invest. And, there are other projects that we've taken on this year, and there's more to come. We've been called to make a difference. Jesus called us to do that in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the world. See, the Great Commission says to go into all the world. And this holiday season is providing us a golden opportunity to get involved and help make a difference in the lives of others. More meaning to Christmas is about offering a cup of cold water in the name of Jesus. But it's about so much more than that. It's not just about water. It's bigger than wells. It's bigger than one village. It's bigger than one country. It's about ministering to the needs of the least of these in the world. It's about resourcing global missionaries. It's about engaging in our world and making a difference in places that'll never, places you and I will probably never go, for people you and I will probably never meet. It's about fulfilling the Great Commission. It's about demonstrating compassion to people who will never have the opportunity to enjoy the lifestyle that you and I enjoy. It is a large work that He's called us to. But there's no need for us to be overwhelmed by it. We just need to start someplace and do what God is calling us to do. And I think all of us can do something. And what for us may be a very small act of giving, very small in the grand scheme of things, that can make a huge difference in the lives of others, in the lives of people living in that bottom 20% when it comes to the world's wealth and resources. People are living in circumstances that are difficult to imagine, and we can make a difference one person at a time, one village at a time, and it makes a difference for just one. Take a look.
One day, a man was walking along the beach when he noticed a boy picking up starfish and throwing them into the ocean. Approaching the boy, he asked, "Excuse me, but what are you doing?" The boy replied, "Throwing starfish back into the ocean. The sun is rising and the tide is going out. If I don't throw them back, they'll die." The man laughed to himself and said, "But there's too many starfish on this beach. You can't possibly make a difference." After listening politely, the boy bent down, picked up another starfish, and threw it into the ocean. Then turning to the man, he said, "I made a difference to that one."
We can make a difference even for one. Today, through our Christmas Eve services, we're going to receive an offering called More to Christmas. There's more to Christmas. 6 weeks to share and to think about others. And what I want to do is I want to encourage you, as you see the opportunities online through our website and through our Facebook page, to share the DVD, share the video, post links on your friends' pages. Let them know that they can be a part too through this offering, where we're going to bring more joy and more hope and more meaning to others this holiday season. And so I'm asking you to consider the challenge on 4 levels. First, I want to invite you to prayerfully consider your part in this. I beg you, please don't just take this as an opportunity to pass off a few dollars and walk away and forget about it. I just want you to pray. I'm asking each one of you to pray about your participation over the next few weeks. As you go today, there are going to be ushers at the doors, and they're going to hand out a card like this. It has that logo on it. It has some information on the back. And I want to ask you to post that card someplace, whether it be on the refrigerator or whether it would be on the bathroom mirror or the dashboard of your car or on your desk, that you would put that card someplace as a reminder. And I'm asking you to pray about your involvement over these next few weeks. Ask God what He would have you do as an expression of gratitude And as we approach Thanksgiving and Christmas, to say thank you at Christmas and also to be able to give a gift that's more meaningful at Christmas. Are you willing to spend less so you can give more as a way of celebrating the blessings that you enjoy? Just ask God to reveal how you can make a difference in the lives of others as we come to the end of 2016. Second, I want to challenge you to give sacrificially. Team World Vision just demonstrated a way to give sacrificially. I got to hand it to those runners that were a part of that effort, because many of them ran and trained for 25 to 50 hours in preparation for that race. They gave up a significant part of their life and of their time to be able to participate. Most of us don't know what it means to give sacrificially. We give what's easy and we give what's convenient. Sacrificial giving costs us something significant. And the question is, are you willing to sacrifice? And the third thing is, I want to challenge everybody to give big. For some, this is going to be the largest single offering maybe that you've ever given. My inclination is to make suggestions and say, well, why don't you give this or that, or here's a formula you could work, or what if all of us did this? And I felt checked about doing that. I feel like the Lord is leading me to just challenge you to give this matter prayerful consideration and then do whatever He asks you to do. Whatever that looks like, whatever that means, would you do it? And finally, I'm asking you for 100% participation. I'm just saying, let's all get involved. We can all do something over and above our regular tithes and offerings as an expression of gratitude and a celebration of the blessings that we enjoy. See, we're growing stronger in compassion. It is about wells, but it's also about much more than that. It's about disaster relief efforts. It is about missionaries. It's about compassionate ministries. It's about churches and schools and hospitals and clinics. It's about spreading the good news of the gospel around the world. And so this morning, I'm asking you to join me and my family, Lori and me, in praying about your involvement and then making that significant commitment to outreach around the world through the ministries of the Point this holiday season. 100% of what you give will go directly to our ministry partners to fulfill the Great Commission. We're giving a cup of cold water, but it's so much more than that in Jesus' name. See, when your heart breaks for what breaks the heart of God, and when you get involved and make a gift from your heart to the plight of the poor, and when you help continue what Christ started when He was here on this earth, I believe God sees that, and I believe God cares, and I'm convinced that He'll bless. And there are several ways you can give. There are going to be buckets as you go today at all 4 doors where you can just drop in an offering. I know some of you didn't plan for that, you didn't prepare for it, and it's okay, there's no pressure. We just wanted to make it easy for you to say, as you're going, those ushers are going to be handing out cards, and they'll have an orange bucket that you can drop an offering in. And if you feel like you can do that cheerfully and joyfully, I would encourage you to do it. There's going to be weekly offerings every week. You can give that way, and you can just write more meaning on your offering envelope or the memo portion of a check. Write more to Christmas. That's what you need to write, more to Christmas. And you may decide that there'll be a bucket out at the outreach booth that'll be on the table there. You can drop an offering in there. You can give online through your own online banking, or you can give through our website, online banking or online giving at The Point. Go to thepoint.com. But if you go there, just understand you can take advantage of the giving online option. There's a cost associated with that, and it'll say you can pick up the tab. Here's how much it'll be. You can choose to do that whether you want to or not. But the point is, every other way that you give, 100% of that offering will go toward global outreach and the ministry of our missionaries around the world. We're going to provide additional support to Komegue, but we're also going to be involved in places like Swaziland and New Guinea, Indonesia, and others. And I can tell you, I'm excited to see what God's about to do. I believe we can help change the world. And I want you to see this video that tells us a little more before we sing again.
For many of us, Christmas is a time of year that holds some of our dearest memories. We're introduced as kids to this season that brings our loved ones together and is filled with celebration. We sang songs, set up nativities, decorated houses. We learned Christmas is actually a real story with shepherds, wise men, Joseph and Mary, the story of when God the Father gave His Son. But now that I have children of my own, it feels like the story of Christmas is simply a story about more toys, more things. And even though I'm the parent, I gotta admit that in all the busyness, I buy into it too. I've traded away the best story in the world for what's on sale. What if God had something better than this for all of us? I want to show my kids the real story of Christmas this Advent season. The story of Christmas isn't told with free 2-day shipping or Black Friday deals, but the story of Christmas is worthy of celebration. God the Father giving us his Son, good news to those in need. What if my family spent less on us this year and instead gave some of what we didn't spend to provide good news to those in need? With 2 billion people still without access to clean water, what if my kids started to see part of their Christmas celebration as a way to love kids halfway around the world? What if we realized Christmas actually is a story about more hope, more joy, more meaning? And who knows, maybe each of us realize there is more to the story, more to Christmas, more to us. And with that, the world could change again.
You know, as we approach Thanksgiving, which is hard to believe coming up here so quickly, and then it's just a short time to Christmas, as an expression of thanksgiving and as a way of spending less so that we might give more at Christmas, what would you be willing to do? We're not going to pass out communication or commitment cards. We're not going to ask you to pledge or commit to any amount. I'm just asking you, would you be willing to pray about your involvement? Would you be willing to give sacrificially? Would you be willing to do that over the course of 6 weeks, whether it's a one-time gift or whether you give weekly over these next 6 weeks? Would you be willing to give big, and would everybody be willing to participate? Here's what I believe. I am convinced that as we get together and unite our resources, not just for clean water, but for the outreach, the global outreach of the church to impact the lives of men and women and boys and girls all over the world, I believe as we give more joy and more hope, more meaning, we will discover in our own hearts and in our own lives and our own families that Christmas and giving and compassion can provide more joy and more meaning and more hope in our lives as well. That's what I'm praying will be the case. As you go, be prepared to receive those cards, and if you'd like to participate in the offering, you can do that. And again, there'll be a bucket at the booth out there. You can give online, you can give in our worship services, and I want you to pray about your participation. I'd like to start that right now. Would you bow with me, please? Father, over the next few weeks, many of us are going to make decisions. And regardless of what we think or how we feel about what we've heard today, I know it's going to resurface in our minds. And we're going to make judgments and we're going to make decisions about things that we will do with the resources that have been entrusted to us. And Lord, I just want to pray that you'll help us to be receptive and sensitive to the needs around about us. Maybe there'll be other things that you'll impress upon the hearts of some. Whatever the case, Lord, we just want to realize that we are blessed and we want to be thankful and we want to be compassionate as an expression of thanksgiving, gratitude for the blessings that we enjoy. We want to put things in their proper perspective and be open to what you want to do in us and what you want to do through us in these coming days. I pray that your will be done and that you will be glorified and honored through more to Christmas this year. In Jesus' name.